Hi, my name is Trevor Bender. I'm excited to be here today to share with you a playthrough live of Labyrinth: The War and Terror. So Labyrinth, of course, is a game based on the war and terror that's occurred since 9/11. It was produced by GMT in 2010-2011 timeframe, designed by Volko Ruhnke, and covers the events in the post 9/11 world up to that time period. Where I come in this product is I designed a couple of expansions that adds more event cards. In particular, the first expansion, Labyrinth Awakening, covers 2010 to 2015 and largely focused on the Arab Spring and the movements that occurred in the Middle East at that time period. Then the second expansion, Forever War, covers 2016 through pretty much to today. We recently published. Each of these adds new additional expansions to the game and new events. What I'm going to run through today is Playdeck's early access translation of the board game Labyrinth into the Steam environment. So it's an exciting version. It allows you can play it with two players back and forth online, or you can play offline against the bot. And so what we'll demonstrate today is the bot capability. So this is the opening menu. We'll start by playing offline, and then you'll get to a menu that looks like this. And first thing we'll do is create a game. You see I have no games going on. One thing I would like to mention before we create a game, there are a variety of tutorials here that you can run through to help you learn the game. These are fantastic. I'll just click on one so you can see what it looks like. This tutorial is telling you how to do US operations, War of Ideas. These are a variety of operations that can be performed during the game. So the game is an asymmetric type of game where each player, the jihadist or the US player, can do different things with their ops. And so it's important to learn both sides, and the tutorials will help you on that. All right, let's create our game. I'll play the US player as a human. Now the bot over here has 4 different difficulty levels. I have it set at the base difficulty level. You can see when you choose a more difficult bot, it is adding additional capabilities towards that jihadist player in this case. I'm going to go ahead and stick with muddled. Commit to that. Now, for those of you who have played Twilight Struggle, that particular game had an artificial intelligence that played exactly like the human player. In this particular case, in Labyrinth, the bot follows a matrix of commands that it follows, very similar to the board game version, the latest version of the board game that came out in Labyrinth Forever War. The bot info here, if you click on this, will describe how it changes how it plays. For example, the cards that it plays are dealt 9 cards at a time, and it just plays them top to bottom on the deck. It doesn't strategically choose which card to play. And so as compensation for that, for example, it receives ops values whenever it does an unassociated event. That ops value goes to reserve. It doesn't lose when it loses its last cell on the map if it's a jihadist bot. It can win if it has 6 resources and none of them are adjacent. And the US player, in order to continue the second and third deck, has to meet certain resource requirements, otherwise they lose. In certain situations, the jihadist bot will be granted what's called a radicalization bonus. For example, if it has unused ops on a type of operation it chooses. If the US bot is being played, you can click on that and see the same changes there as well. All right, so that's the bot. Let's go ahead and start our game. We're going to go ahead, you can choose 1, 2, or 3 games. I'm going to go ahead and choose 3, and we're all set to go. Okay, game is building. Now the decks are dealt. And right away we have, I'm going to go ahead and pause this. The jihadist player, as you can see, he plays the first 2 cards, then the US player plays the next 2. The Labyrinth is really unique among card-driven games in that each player plays 2 cards back to back. Most card games you flip back and forth, each of you playing 1 card. What's unique about this is it allows you to set up some card combos that are pretty powerful, and so you'll want to learn those as you play the game and see how you can stack your cards to be more effective. All right, in this particular model, let's just do a quick tour before we have the jihadist bot play this card. You'll see the map here. I'm going to scroll out a little bit. It's the entire world pretty much. We have the United States in the top left corner. Let me move this out of the way. Over here. All the way to the Philippines in the bottom right. Notice these dotted lines connect the countries, dotted or dashed on straight lines as well. Those determine adjacency for movement. Some key charts here. The victory condition chart at the bottom. This describes how it can be won. Either you win through collecting countries' resource values. For example, the jihadist player starts with 1 resource value. And that's because Afghanistan here has one resource value, and it's an Islamist rule. So there's the one resource. U.S. player would like to collect resources at good. He doesn't have any United States resources, countries at resource level good yet, but they will. This is the most common way to win. Giottis needs to get to 6, the U.S. needs to get to 12. Other ways to win include getting fair and good countries combined, or poor and Islamist rule countries combined. Getting those to 12 and 15 or getting those to 15 will make a difference for either side. And then lastly, the Giottis player can win by doing a WMD plot inside the United States. The United States can win, if they're not playing against the bot, by eliminating all cells on the map. So there's a quick tour of the victory conditions. A couple of key tracks here. U.S. prestige. This is important. It tracks how the U.S. is perceived by the other countries on the map. And then the global war and terror relations map. This shows that the U.S. profile is hard right here, and the world is hard. Most countries are neutral right now, except for Israel, which is always hard. Now, there's two different kinds of countries on the map. The green ones are Muslim nations, and those are tracked by one token in the middle, which is either good, fair, or poor, or Islamist rule. That's 1, 2, 3 in number, or a green marker, as we show here in Afghanistan. And then it shows their alignment towards the United States, either ally, neutral, or adversary. So it does both. It slides across the top. We have markers here of cells. There's 5 cells there in Afghanistan. And then we have troop markers here for the United States. These are all kind of generic in nature. They don't necessarily equate to a certain military strength, but it's just how much capability you're using at that particular point in that region. Both sides have 15 of each type of marker to play. Now for the Giottis player, their track here is their funding track, and when they're at 7, 8, or 9, they draw 9 cards, and they're able to recruit all 15 of their cells on the map. For the U.S. player, if they're in low intensity, meaning they have 5 or less cells on the map, right now there's 4 excuse me, troops, there's 4 troops on the map, then they draw 9 cards. The more troops they put on the map, the fewer cards they draw, showing less options because more resources are going towards military operations, less towards diplomacy and other things. All right, there's the tour. So we just had the Giottis op play recruit in Afghanistan, and it was a 1 card, so they were able to recruit 1 additional cell. That's why it went from 4 to 5. Now, in a normal recruit operation, you have to roll less than or equal to the political value of the country, the governance value. This either 1, 2, or 3. But in this case, since it's Islamist rule, it's an auto-recruit country. What that means is that all operations for the Giottis player are automatically successful in the Islamist rule country. So it automatically recruits there. All right, let's resume. Second card is going to recruit as well. Put 1 in Afghanistan. Now there's 2 there. All right, so it's my turn. Up here, first card play for the U.S. player. So this is my hand. This is something that you'll want to do as a player, is look at your 9 cards and see which ones, just scan through them real quick. And the easiest way to do that is click on the one on the left, take a look. So this particular card, we know it's a Giottis card because it's green on the top left and it has the symbol. What that means is if I play it, the Giottis bot will also get the event. So in this case, I would lose a random card. They would gain 1 funding. I'd lose 1 prestige. So it's simulating Gaza war and its impact on the war and terror. Not a good card for me, except I would get the 2 ops values in doing something. By using this arrow to the right, I can scroll through my hand very quickly. Special Forces, this is a bread and butter card, one of the main common cards that you'll find for the U.S. player. Allows me to eliminate a cell in a country adjacent to troops. I've got 2 countries with troops on the map, Saudi Arabia and Gulf states, so I can eliminate a cell next to them. Right now I don't have any targets for that, so not useful now, but maybe later. Predator, this allows me to allow using a drone to remove a cell from any Muslim country on the map, but not Iran. So much more useful. Enhanced measures. You can see the event takes disrupt once, then take a random card from the Giottis hand, can be blocked by leak. All right, so this is one of the things I'm looking for. This particular card can be blocked by leak. It's a really powerful card. I have to be hard, and the disruption has to be possible. Right now, there's no disruption possible because I don't have troops in the same location with cells. If there were cells that moved into Gulf states, for example, I could disrupt. And then that would be a very nice card for me, because then I could take a random card from the Giottis hand. But note also that it gets blocked by leak, so I'm encouraged to play this sooner than later, because if my opponent plays leaked first, then I cannot use that card. Okay, Quartet. play if Abbas in effect, troops not in overstretch, no Islamist rule adjacent Israel. This particular one, I have to have another card to play beforehand, so right now it's only good for 2 ops for me. Wiretapping requires cells to be present in those 3 countries, US, UK, Canada. Don't have that yet, although it also can be blocked by leak. Leak is a key card towards blocking the US options. This is a good one for me, this back channel. I can discard the card to shift an adversary to neutral and place 1 aid there. So this I might consider doing in either Syria or Iraq, because both of them started with adversary. I'll have to hold on off of that. Here's one of the leak cards that's in my hand. So I probably don't want to play that, because if I did, it would trigger that event to block these other events that help me. So in this particular game, the US player can hold on to their last card. They don't have to play it. And then when they do decide, if they're the last, it's the 9th card ready to go, they can either discard it or hold it till the next turn. So probably what I'm going to do is hold on to this card and not play it. Okay, last card. Okay, this one is not going to, the event would not be triggered as a Muslim event, as a jihadist event, because of the fact that it's not being played by them, it's being played by me. So I just did a tour of my 9 cards. What I'm looking for initially is which cards have prerequisites that if I waited and played them later, meaning if the jihadist bot played them, played a prerequisite that might cancel it, and things of that nature. I want to decide what cards I want to play early and which ones I want to play later. So that's the first tour I did. Now comes up strategy. What do I want to do? Well, I see the jihadist bot has got 6 cells in Afghanistan. I know from prior playings of this game that the bot likes to recruit there. It may even recruit all 15 there over time, and then likely targets would be Pakistan because it's adjacent, and also because it has a weapons of mass destruction nuclear arsenal here. I would like to protect that. The best way to do that is to enhance the strength of Pakistan relative to an upcoming surge of cells coming from north to south. So what I'm going to do is look at some cards that I can do to try to do a war of ideas to influence Pakistan to become an ally. All right, let's see what we have here. Okay, that's a card that might work. The boss might work. Wiretapping could work both. These are 2s. I don't want to do leak. Save back channel for later. Save enhanced measures for later. Predator save for later. Gaza War I don't want to do at this point because it could hurt me. So let's do Quartet, because I doubt Abbas is going to come out. This is a good card for me, but I doubt it's going to happen. So let's go ahead and play it. We're going to do War of Ideas, and we're going to, now you'll see, I chose War of Ideas as my option. All these countries are lit up green, are locations that I could do those War of Ideas. War of Ideas is an operation that the US player can do to try to shift alignment or governance of Muslim countries, or shift alignment of non-Muslim countries, the blue countries. So far there are no alignments of posture of the blue countries, so it would be essentially rolling a die to see what they would become, either 1 through 4 soft, 5 through 6 hard. So I'm not going to deal with that just yet. I only have a +1 advantage in that category. So what I'll do, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to go to Pakistan, and we're going to try to shift them to become an ally. Now look at here, it tells me what the odds are. It's giving me a +1 modifier for US prestige. So right now prestige for the US player is 7, which on this track is right here. And it gives me a +1 for War of Ideas. So if I can get up to 10, it'll be a +2. If it goes down to 3 or less, it's a -1. So a 50% chance of success. Note on the die rolls in this game, a star is a 6, while the crescent moon is a 1. So there's we go. And if we happen to roll 3, we'll get an aid marker. So let's go ahead and commit to that. Hopefully you got a 50% chance of having success. Bum. I missed it. I got a 1. All right. You know what? That's okay. It takes a number of die rolls to make this attempt successful. And one thing to think about as a Labyrinth player jumping into this, you're going to be investing a lot of dies, a lot of operations to make that 5 or 6 die roll, or 4, 5, or 6 die roll. It'll happen over time. Just keep throwing resources at it. You'll eventually get it. So I'm going to do that. Let's pick another card that we can throw at it. I doubt the conditions for wiretapping will come into play. Let's go War of Ideas again. Choose Pakistan. See if the second time is better. Okay, kind of. Now let's pause this. Okay, so finished my turn. Now we're back to the Jihadist turn. We went kind of fast there. Let's look. I'll go back and tell you what happened. So did you see what I did there? I clicked on the game log, top left corner, game log, shows you what's happened. The beginning, their first 2 cards they played, the next 2 I played. I rolled a 3, become a 4. The target's 5 or above, but because it was 1 off, it was a failure. By just 1, I gained an aid marker. The aid marker shows up in Pakistan. You'll see it right there. Close, scan up on it. That's going to give me a +1 to all future war of ideas. Very helpful. So kind of a compensation for missing by 1. All right, we had, looks like IEDs is being played. Let's resume. They're going to recruit in Afghanistan. And they're going to do it again with detainees release, recruit in Afghanistan. All right, they've got a total of 9 cells there now. I know they're coming, so I need to figure out what to do about this. Back to my first card play of my second round of turns. Okay, let's go to Predator. I could use this to remove a cell in Afghanistan, but it'd just be one of the 9 that are there. I don't think that's very helpful. So I'm going to use the 2 as war of ideas in Pakistan again for the purpose of trying to help them to become an ally. You note this time that I've got 2 +1s, so the chances of success are much greater. And I still fail. This game is hurting me. All right, what's next? Hold on to that one. All right, this is what I'm going to do. You'll see there's a reserve box up here. Either side can save 1 or 2 ops to add to future cards to make them more useful. I need to play a 2 card in order to have an effect on Pakistan, a 2 or a 3. And that's my ongoing strategy. I'm going to continue to pursue that. But I got a couple 1 cards here that won't be so useful to me. So what I'm going to do is play them to add to reserves. So we'll do this. Add 1 to reserves. Now it's giving me a commit button. This is your undo button here if you want to go back and change your mind, or the green target means you're committing to it. So I'll go ahead and commit. Now they're going to continue recruiting. Notice that Jihadist hand was very low on, oh, he just thwarted me. Did you just see that? Let's go back, show their rules, show he got to do a jihad through that attempt, and he did that in Pakistan, which the first result was successful, and changed it to a poor country. Actually had 2 successes, but he can't go beyond poor, so it went from fair to poor. All right, that means now for me to do an ops in that country, it's required for me to play a 3 card, which I technically have quite a few 3 cards left, so I'm going to continue my strategy of pursuing making Pakistan an ally. The reason I want to have Pakistan become an ally is I cannot deploy troops there unless they are, and I can see what's coming from the north. All right, let's give this a shot. I'm going to go ahead and, even though I like this event, I'd like to use it somewhere else. What's going on in Afghanistan is more important, so we're going to do that now. Or in Pakistan, we'll use back channel there for War of Ideas, Pakistan. All right, you'll notice that my odds are different. It used to be +2. The reason it's not anymore is my aid marker. My aid marker went away when they had that successful jihad result in Pakistan. So aid markers are somewhat fragile. They'll go away if your opponent has a successful jihad or a successful plot in either case. So that's what happened. So I'm back to my 50-50. Just go ahead and commit. And I'm still busted. Okay, what's left? Don't want to play that. to use enhanced measures. Free ops. Pakistan. Oh, I'm getting. I need to find a way to cheat on the dice here. Okay, they recruited in Afghanistan with the first die, and the second one, they tested Somalia, and because of that, I roll 5 or 6 will make it good governance or fair governance. 1 through 4 would make it poor. Actually helped me a little bit. Move this marker from a 2 to a 3. Back to me again. Now it's interesting to see how I want to play these cards, because I know when if I play Gaza War, it's going to randomly discard a card, which is okay if it's leak. So for me, I would like to play Special Forces first, but there's no country that has a cell that I'm adjacent to. So what else can I do? There's no countries that I can change posture for with a 1. So the card is effectively, at this point, not as effective in other situations that I would find myself in. So let's go to Gaza War. I'm going to play that for War of Ideas and use my reserve, and we'll see what happens with which card is randomly removed. And War of Ideas, we're going to do it in Pakistan, which will know that it'll need to take the reserve, commit reserves, yes. Hey, guess what? We had success. Okay, Pakistan is now an ally. And it took away the other card. Alright, and I missed what the jihadists did. Okay, so that's my second card play. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I have 1 card left, since this is an important thing for the U.S. player. Especially in a deck where the jihadist player might be drawing 9 cards, and the U.S. may be only drawing 7, or there are a lot of discarder type events that require the U.S. player to discard cards, you might be ending a situation where you have fewer cards. You can always hold on to your last card. It doesn't necessarily mean you're holding on to next turn, but you're going to hold it and possibly play it later on as a reaction to what may occur. So that's what I'm going to do. Hold my last card. Commit. Alright, so now they played an event, and okay, they got that going, and now the jihadist player has 0 cards left. You can see that up here. It's a 0 under the crescent moon. The US player has 1 card left. That's my Special Forces, which in this particular case is not going to help me at all. But I think I'm going to hold on to it till next turn, because that will let me have more cards then, and it may become useful then. So let's go ahead and hold on to it. Now we have the next turn coming up. Turn-in information's coming. Jihadists decreased by 1. Their new funding level was 8. Let's pause this so we can take a look. So you'll see on the track up here, they went every turn they're going to go down by 1, 9 to 8. U.S. prestige is reduced by 1 because there's an Islamist rule country. I mentioned at the beginning, Afghanistan starts as Islamist rule country, so every turn my prestige is going to go down by 1 as long as there is at least 1 IR country on the map. So my prestige is now down to 5, medium. Jihadist player keeps his reserve. Mine is reset to 0, which it already was. He's at ample funding and draws 9 cards. I'm at low intensity and draw 9 as well. Okay, let's continue. Jihadist player goes first. Tried jihad in Somalia and it did not work. Both of their attempts failed. And they did a posture test by moving from Afghanistan to Russia, and it became hard. And that cell did not travel successfully because of the hard. And now we've got ourselves, okay, look at this. This is a very interesting dynamic. All 15 cells are in Afghanistan. most human players would not do this because that's very risky. There is one card in play that allows you to remove all cells, and then they would be completely gone, which would be a victory if you weren't playing against the bot. But if you're playing a two-player game, that would be a complete victory. So Giada's player usually wants to separate them and have them in different countries. All right, you'll see at the bottom we have my 9 cards plus 1 because I held special forces. Let's do a tour of the U.S. deck. We know what that one does. Okay, this is of course the card that is famous for the flight. It's Flight 57. Okay, if there's a plot, an ally or good country, so I have to wait for a plot to show up. Now look at this one. This one places 5 cells and remove 1 aid, if any, or if none, places base regime. Play in a prestige regime country. Right now, the Giada's player has no cells, so if I played this card, they would not get any benefit from it. But the way the rule works in this game is you play all effects that have some effects. So what they would get is they wouldn't get the 5 cells, but if there was an aid marker to get removed, since there is no aid marker, they would get the besiege regime. Well, in this particular case, it's already Islamic rule, so that wouldn't even apply either. So this is an event where I'm going to get 3 free ops and no effect for the Giada's player. Okay, I'm not going to benefit from that one. There's already an Islamic rule country on the map. Okay, this is one that makes it more difficult to travel to the United States. We've already seen Leak before. This is the second iteration of it. There's, I think, 3 in the game, 2 or 3 Leak cards in the game. All right, this is a big deal for me. It allows me to make Libya an ally, +1 prestige, and select 2 Schengen countries posture. Okay, that's big. Okay, that's not so useful. The control technology regime, CTR countries, this particular one is one that allows them to play, to try to get a WMD from Russia if they had a cell there. So I may want to use that right away because there is no cell in Russia. And that's one that allows China to be tested. Okay, so there's our cards. You knew my strategy in the past was to try to beef up Pakistan. I know that now these beefed up with 15 cells in Afghanistan, they're going to start coming my way. So I need to lower that governance from 3 to 2 to, or hopefully 1, and make it good so that I can have better effect against those cells when they arrive, with more operations against it. So I'm going to look for a 3 card. I mentioned foreign fighters. These particular, this card won't benefit them at all, so let's do War of Ideas. Do it in Pakistan. I need to roll a 5 or 6. Okay, so I got a 4, which gives me an aid marker. I mentioned if you're 1 off, you're close, that gives you another +1. The reason I don't have the previous +1 before is because my prestige is 5. I need to get it up to a 7 in order to make it stronger. Get that other +1 modifier. Okay, what other 3 card can I use? I'm going to go ahead and play Patriot Act for this. I'm not too worried about him coming to the United States yet, so let's do War of Ideas. Pakistan. Roll the 1. Alright, see what the Giada's player does. Travel. Okay, you traveled to 3 different countries and tested them all, and they all went fair. This is not good. That helped me because those other 3 countries all went fair and all 3 cells were eliminated. And they were countries that were chosen by a table in the background. Now, when you played Axis of Evil, you'll see that it requires to roll prestige. This is a tricky situation. In dicing prestige for the U.S. player, if you roll 1 to 4 on the first die, it'll go down. 5 or 6, it goes up. So he rolled a 2. And then it goes down the lower of 2 dice. 2 5s were rolled. So my prestige just went down 5. That was a killer. My Axis of Evil speech did not work. So now I'm all the way down here at 1. And War of Ideas is low. And I have a -1 on my future War of Idea attempts. I may need to switch strategies in Pakistan. Fortunately, I got that aid still there, so that gives me a +1. Roll 5 or 6 there for success. All right. see what I can use. I'm going to probably have to put some in reserve. I'm going to go ahead and use this one so they can't play a fresh start. So no CTRs. No cells in either of those locations. So I'm going to do this to put it in War of Ideas, or excuse me, to add to reserves. Okay. Now my second card, I'm going to play a 1 card. To continue my War of Ideas in Pakistan. Let's do that. Go ahead and do this one now. And then I can always clean it up with Special Forces later on if I have to. So it's going to give them their event, but after I do my War of Ideas roll. So War of Ideas, Pakistan, committing reserves, commit. By the way, one thing you should know is whenever you commit reserves, whether I use 1 or 2, it always goes to 0. So oftentimes you will lose a second one if you just only need 1. So in this case, I put 2 in there, but I need all 3 because Pakistan's a 3 governance country. Here we go. Man, I'm just not having luck there. Look at that. They tried to recruit in Iraq and both of them failed. That's not good. Now they got a cell. Pakistan. All right. Okay, we'll use Special Forces. Play the event. We're going to remove that cell in Pakistan. Okay. See, the preconditions are going to keep me from playing that Libyan deal. I'd love to play that card, but it's not going to allow me to do it. So instead, I'm going to use that for War of Ideas in Pakistan. I'm going to commit. Failed again. Let me pause there for a second. This is an interesting play. They're recruiting in Iraq. One of them failed, one succeeded. In this particular case, the Predator usually would be an event. Whenever the Jihadist player plays a U.S. event, I would get the benefit of it. But because I'm playing against the bot, I don't. So the bot is going to get to use the 2 ops, and I don't get the event. That's one of the rules I mentioned at the beginning of the game for bot play. And they're probably trying to recruit Afghans. Okay, Caucus just went soft. Alright. Tough situation for me here. They got 1 more cell to recruit. They're trying to get enough to do some kind of a jihad in Iraq. I don't have the ability to put forces there. They're not an ally. So I gotta be creative. No plots on the map, so I can't use Let's Roll. Can't disrupt there. Okay, notice how this one has a requirement that the leak can only be played if those particular events are in place. The way you tell what events are in play is over here. Abai Saif and Fatah. You click on it, you look at the token there, and then the card will show up. So you get reminded what's in play. So none of those are in play. So I'm going to go ahead and continue my focus on Pakistan with leak, using the 3 ops since the event will not get played for them. Missed it by 1. So normally you would get an aid marker, but because I already have an aid marker there, I don't. Alright, let's do something different here. One of the advantages of being both hard and then having the world also hard at level 3 is that US prestige goes up 1. So what I'm going to do is try to work on achieving that before the end of the turn when that's calculated. So you'll notice Caucasus is soft. So I'm going to do a War of Ideas there. So we'll play this card here, which it's not going to be triggered because there's a country under Islamist rules. The event will not take place. Let's go to War of Ideas, but we're going to pick Caucasus as our target country. So I need to roll a 5 or 6 on this one to have them become hard. And if I do, I'll actually gain +1 prestige. That's that box there. So 1/3 chance, and let's see if we get it. Okay, we missed it. But they went and tested Kenya, and they got a hard result, so that's good. That helps. Let's see if we do the next one. Recruit in Afghanistan, or recruit in Iraq. Okay, I have 3 there now. Keep waiting for a plot to occur. Jihadis is down to 0 cells left. I have 2 left. Continue with that strategy in the caucus. Let's do actually I think I'm going to hold on to that Let's Roll card until next turn. It's a really good card, but the Jihadist player has not put out any bots yet. But if I hold on to this for next turn, he likely will. You see, the Jihadist player has not put any plots yet. The plots are it's a operations that allows the Jihadist player to both reduce U.S. prestige and gain funding, and if there's troops in the country. And so I'm certain they're going to do that at some point. So I'm going to hold on to Let's Roll card. And for this particular one, for 1 ops, there's not much I can do. There is one thing I can do. I can move troops from a country on the map back to the troops track, which will give me more options for using them later. The ones in Gulf states are very important, but the ones in Saudi Arabia are not as critical just yet. So let me just demonstrate that. Let's go ahead and play this card. We're going to deploy, and our target location will be the troops track. Here it is. This is their landing place. We're going to pick these 2, sitting in both. Now, whenever you use deploy action, you're paying the governance cost of the country in question. Usually it's 1, 2, or 3, but when deploying back to the troops track, it's always 3. Excuse me, always 1. It's always 1, so that's why I can use the 1 ops card. And then they're going to get the event. China becomes soft. My last cell is deployed there. And I'm going to hold my last card. Their funding goes down to 7. That's a good sign. We deal a bunch more cards. U.S. prestige stayed at 1. This is not good at all. Traveled a bunch of cells to Iraq and got successful. Yeah, sent one to Israel. Yeah, play. Okay. All right. What trouble is coming next? Let's take a look at the cards I have. We saw this from last turn. That would not be good. this is an interesting one for me to do early on as an event, because I get rid of one of his cards, and even though I lose prestige, he'll lose funding, which means it'll be much more difficult for him to recruit, because they'll drop down into this lower level. The -1 prestige won't hurt me at all, since I'm already at -1. I'm going to remember that card to play earlier on. Okay, I can't play that one. My preconditions won't allow me to. They don't have any cells right now, so it's an easy card for me to play. That's also another freebie for me. Those countries are not Islamist rule. Okay, that would be good too. +1 prestige, -2 from them. Okay, so that's a possible play as well, although it does have a cell in Israel, so I have to see if I can bait them into playing that cell, having that cell plot in Israel, and then I can use Let's Roll to get rid of it. Okay, let's see what we want to do first. Let's go ahead and do this one so we can knock the funding down to 6. Play as event. Oh, I select and discard 1 card from the US hand. I misread that. That's not good. But maybe it isn't. Maybe I do want to. Let's take a look and see which ones I want to get rid of. I think I want to get rid of this card. Although, okay, let's do this. Play event. Get rid of that card. Discard. Now you see his funding drop down to a 6. Be much more difficult to recruit now. And we're all good. That was my first card play. Second one will be, I thought I wanted to play this one. Because I don't have any 3 cards. Oh, that's not good. Since there are no cells available, we'll play this one now. And give more of ideas for that strategy that I brought up before. Let's go and try it in China this time. Okay, so alright, so a lot just happened very quickly there. Let me go back to the journal to show this. In my particular case, my prestige went up because we made China go to hard. So anytime you change the posture of a country to the current posture that you are as a U.S. player, you gain 1 prestige. So that was good fortune there. Although I let things spiral out of control in Iraq. You can see they did a major jihad there, rolled 3 dice, 2 of which were lower than the 3, allowing it to go to Islamist rule. Correct? And the first 2 were. So they had success. No cells were killed in the process. They're all there. They're all active. They're flipped face up. And Iraq just became an Islamist rule country. So this is not good for me at all. There's a total now of 4, let's resume play, 4 resources that are Islamist rule. He just needs 2 more to win the game. So my efforts at Pakistan, focused efforts for 2 full turns to try to convince them to become better posture, did not work out. And as a result, they snuck into Iraq. So good play on the jihadist bot card there. Okay, up to me for my first turn, our second turn of 2 cards. One other thing to note as I'm describing the rules of the game, you remember how the jihadist bot was at 6 for recruiting, for their funding level. It's moved up to 3. As a result of the successful jihad, they go up the resource value of the country. Iraq is a 3 resource country, so they gain 3, and so they're maxed out at 9 now. Okay. So the way for me to correct this situation, one of the tools in the toolbox is called regime change. So I would do a regime change, for example, in Iraq, That would automatically make them a neutral country, either fair or poor, and allow me to remove that Islamist rule. I don't necessarily want to commit to that now because it requires 6 troops, and it'll make it tougher for me in drawing cards, but if it gets closer towards me potentially losing the game, I'm going to have to commit to that. So I just wanted you to be aware of it. Let's see what other things we can do before that happens. Let's do pirates. And I'm going to do, in this case, I'm going to switch gears and do a war of ideas. Let's see. Don't want to do that. It's too difficult. Let's play this as in the event, and it'll start working again, knocking down the jihadist funding. Play event. Good. Unfortunately, the Philippines went soft. They have the event out there. And then for my second card play, do pirates and do war of ideas in the Caucasus. Need a 5 or 6 for success. And I got it. Very good. Let's try to send some. Okay, I tried to send a cell to Somalia and it did not work, and then recruited it back in Afghanistan. Alright, so you'll see I achieved my objective of having both the U.S. posture and the world posture being hard 3 and hard, so that would allow me to gain 1 prestige at the end of the turn. See if we can keep that status going. Now what I'd like to do is find measures to increase U.S. prestige. If I was to have another country flip to hard, that would do the same thing, so I think we'll target the Philippines. I need to get myself out of this low area because my war of ideas are -1 in Muslim nations when I've got this when I'm in low, so I want to get the medium. So try to dig myself out of that hole. So Philippines is my target. What am I going to use? Probably Zawahiri, since I'll not be able to play that for a while. Let's play war of ideas, and let's choose Philippines. We'll roll another 5 or 6. Roll 4. Missed that one. Second card play. All right, I forgot this was in my hand. I should have played this a little bit sooner. This will give me 1 prestige. It'll knock the jihadists down to, which will put them at that magic number of 6, so they won't be able to recruit when they get cells back. So let's play Abbas as an event. May even attempt the bot to try to play a plot in Israel, since that's what moves it. Bummer. Well, that was just bad timing on my part. So it happened very quickly. They did go down to 6, but they played. Let's see what the name of that card is again. Wahhabism. It moves your funding level up by the amount of the governance of Saudi Arabia, so it went up by 3, so all my efforts on that, knocking them down, failed. Then they tried to do some traveling from Iraq, and they failed in that travel attempt, so they got to sell back. Nevertheless, my prestige is now medium. You'll see I'm up here, I'm no longer in the low, so I can consider doing some more war of ideas in Muslim countries. And we're going to do that. So Gulf states, I would need a 6-6 for success. Let's go ahead. And the reason I would need a 6 is because we're trying to go, do you see this -1 modifier? Anytime you're trying to go from fair to good, there's an additional -1 on there. It's just so much harder to get to that final level you're trying to achieve. I still think I'm going to go ahead and do it. It's a 1 in 6 chance. If I roll a 5, I get an 8 marker. But the advantage of having Gulf states become good is that then it influences all War of Ideas around it. All other countries around it would also have a +1 for their future die rolls, which will help me in Pakistan and eventually in Iraq if I decide to do regime change there. All right, let's give it a shot. No luck. Second card play. This one also is War of Ideas, and then they're going to get this event, but I think I'll be okay with it. Let's do same country again, both states, need a 6. Okay, I got a 5, so that means I get, okay, governance in Central Asia, 4. It's giving me the option to set the governance for Scandinavia because of the Danish cartoons, and of course we'd set it as hard because that's the strategy. I'll commit to that. And I'm back to that same decision again. Do I hold my last card? And I'm going to hold it this time. Again, at some point, Geodes players going to plot. Okay, so I made a mistake here. In the fast action they're going by, they placed a plot inside Gulf states on that last event. I didn't catch that. I had the opportunity to alert that plot, but I didn't have a 3 card, so I couldn't have done it anyway. The way this works is to do an alert operation to remove an existing plot, you have to play a 3 card. Although my Let's Roll event that I'm holding here in the bottom left corner of my screen would allow me to do it for free. Boy, just playing fast and didn't even see it. I was hoping they'd play a plot and I could use Let's Roll, but I missed it. So fortunately they failed their roll, and they didn't have, see there are 2 dice that they rolled here. If they rolled less than or equal to the 2 governance value of fair, then they would drop that governance value to a 3. Nevertheless, I am going to take a prestige hit because U.S. troops were there, so my prestige is going to go down 1. Oversight. Okay, now the 8. My prestige went down and then up. Stay at 3. 0 to 0. Okay, yeah. Doing some recruiting. Okay, Thailand just went soft. And Eastern Europe went soft. That's not good. Okay, just travel 3 cells to a variety of locations that you just saw there. All of them failed to travel, and interestingly enough, all of the countries they went to became fair in value. Okay. Now I can take a look at my 10 cards that I've got here. We've seen Let's Roll before. Let's make sure I don't forget to use that on the next plot. Don't want to see that one come up at all. This is a really good card for me. There's 2 cells in Afghanistan. I can remove 2 of them, roll prestige, which if it goes down in oil could go down 1 or 2 since I'm at 3, and I get to draw a card. If it goes up, I'd be very much benefited by it. Some other cards for me to consider. Wasn't very good. There's 48 cards left in the deck. You can tell that here. The game ends when you can't draw your hands up to a full hand. Right now we're both drawing 9 cards, so if there's less than 18 cards remaining, then I know that would be the last turn. Excuse me, it wouldn't be the last turn of the game because we selected a 3-card deck, so it would trigger a redraw. But if I don't have at least 6 countries at good resource, I would not be able to continue. I'd lose the game. Gulf States is really close. If I can make them good, and I'd have 3 resources good right there, so that would be something I want to finish at some point. And then I would need to pick it up somewhere else, maybe do a regime change in Iraq and have them switch to good somehow. That might be the other way of doing this. So, let's see what we can do. Let's do Tora Bora first and see what benefits we get out of this. Hopefully we'll get a good prestige roll that'll lift my prestige up out of the dumps and go from there. So let's play that as an event. Oh wait, it has to be played in a regime change country, not in Islamist rule. So what we'll do is we'll have to do a regime change in Iraq first before we play that event. Let me show you how that's done. That's a key element in this game for the U.S. player. And we've got to pick a 3-card to do it. Let's go ahead and use Darfur, and we'll do that one. Look at my cards and get a good one to play. The cards there. It'd be great if I could knock down the prestige marker. Funding a little bit more, but don't see that option happening right now. All right. Okay, so I'm going to take a break here and show one other aspect of the game so that you're aware of it. I'm going to go to the rule book here. I forgot to share this at the beginning, but there's the rules. You can go I clicked on the top right corner with the home button, and you can see all the rules listed here in case you're interested in that. Some of the operations are listed. You can flip through this at your own time, but I've been doing a lot of War of Ideas and things of that nature. Disrupt, alert, reassessment. Okay, the one that I want to do is regime change. Okay. There we go. Must be country as long as rule, like none will deploy, contingent ally. Okay. Roll prestige. Okay. Go back to my game. Okay, so what I did is I accidentally exited the game, so it's going to play through the jihadist first couple of card plays because I didn't save before I left. I remembered where you were at. I remembered at the end of the turn. Okay, so I want to do that regime change option, but I'm having a hard time seeing how to do that. I'm playing a 3 card, and not sure why it's not letting me do it, because I'm hard as a U.S. player. I've got 6 troops. And let's just oops. You're sure how to do that? Do regime change?
To right.
It's just not even giving me the option. That's very interesting. Okay. All right, I'll do something else, and we'll try to get that figured out. Disrupt. Let's try. I wonder if it's considered as a disrupt option. No, it doesn't. Okay. Let's go back to my focus strategy in the Gulf states. We got +1. I need to get my prestige up 1. So what we'll do is we'll target a country that I can gain a prestige. These 2 soft countries are an option. We also have this one up here, Germany, as a soft country with level 1. So that's far easier for me to do War of Ideas there. Still only a 5 or 6 chance of making it hard, but I can do it with a 1 card, which I've got one over here. So let's do the CTR card. US is not soft, so I can't play it anyway. Do War of Ideas, and let's go after Germany. And 5 or 6. Roll the 1. And let's continue that strategy. Go ahead and play War of Ideas. This time we're going to try it on Thailand. Just barely missed it. In the soldiers in Afghanistan again. Climb down to Somalia. Okay. And the reason they're doing that is because there's a besieged regime country here. They only need 1 success there to have it go Islamist rule. That would not be a win for the Jihadist player, because that would give them 5 resources and they need 6. Although if an oil price spike comes up, it would give it to them, because Iraq is a oil producing country. That makes temporarily the resource value go from a 3 to a 4. So that's something to be aware of. There's a card in there called oil price spike that will do that. All right, let's go back to cells available, so it's a good time to play this. War of Ideas. Philippines. Nope. Full event. Second one. Pakistan does not have a cell. Let's do it now. Ideas. Okay, I was very fortunate. They did a minor jihad in Somalia, and both of them failed. I'm going to try it again with the 1 guy, so all 3 of the guys that are eliminated. It's going to give me some breathing room. Although they tested Italy, and Italy went soft. I don't like that. Okay. See, some of these are those events I described earlier that are allowed because the jihadist player had extra ops left over. So they have some minor events that they're able to do to kind of compensate. compensation. So let's see what damage has been done. We still have a world that's hard threat level 3, so I'm okay there. My prestige is a 3, I need to move it up 1. That's my strategy I've been going on, but now I have other countries I can do it. Italy and Germany are both soft. The nice thing about doing a shift on one of these countries that's already soft to make them hard is it switches it to, because soft would be a -1 and hard is a +1, so it's actually a switch of 2. So not in posture, it's a shift in 2 on this track here, not necessarily on the prestige. So I only gain 1 prestige, but that's the idea. Now the way the US player works though, even if I played a 2 card, I can only do it in 1 country. US can only do operations in 1 country. The Giottos player can spread them out, and each op counts as 1 ops. So you can, like, if you play 3 ops cards, Giottos player you can do it in 3 different countries if you want. If that's recruit or travel or whatnot. Okay. Syria is already an adversary, so I'm not too worried about that one. Okay, we're going to do this. More ideas. Philippines. And I missed it by 1 again. I get the events. And Lebanon started off as poor. I just figured out how to do the deploy operation. I can do that. I do the regime change. Let's go back and do this again so I can show you what I did here. Remember earlier I was concerned about how I would do regime change. You play a 3 card, you press deploy, and then the countries in red are the ones you would do regime change in. The countries in green would just be normal deployment. Okay, so I was a little mixed up on that. Just be aware you press deploy. Regime change is a deploy type of operation, just this very specific kind. So what I'm going to demonstrate here is using regime change in Iraq using this 3 card from Darfur, and it'll deploy 6 cells from my track, which will put me at medium at regular war level, so from low intensity. It's moving from here to here. But it'll also make Iraq so it's no longer a regime change. It will make it so it's no longer an Islamist rule country, and then roll for its governance, and it becomes neutral. Actually become an ally, and it'll be a poor affair. So let's give this a try. See what happens. All right, so here's the die roll results. There's going to be a prestige roll as well for the U.S. They will become ally. It'll become a green regime change marker. 1 through 4 is poor, 5 or 6 it is fair. Trying to find my commit button. Oh, I have to declare how many troops I'm going to deploy, so let's do that. We have to do at least 6. And I don't see any advantage of sending any more. In fact, by leaving these 6 on the track, I now have the option to do another regime change in another place and kind of dig myself further in the hole, but allow the game to go on longer. So let's commit this and see what happens. Okay, my prestige went down to 1, and it was not perceived well by the world, and they started off as a poor country. Recruiting Afghanistan. All right, did you see that? They placed a plot there in Caucasus. This might be a chance for me to play the Let's Roll card. Let's see. Ally or a good country. Okay, well, Caucasus is not ally and it's not good. It's hard, but it's only a fair 2 country, so I will not be able to play Let's Roll there. What they're trying to do is gain some resources and perhaps change the posture to soft. Cells in Iraq, so I can't do Tora Bora.
no good options for me right now. Good country. Can't use that. So I think what I'm going to do is actually, boy, it's just lousy options for me at this point. Of these two cards, Tora Bora and Let's Roll, I think I would rather hold on to the Tora Bora as my last card. Although I'm going to lose one because of this. Let's play the Lebanon War now and see if I might get lucky and it pulls Kashmir out of my hand. Otherwise, I'll hold either Tora or Let's Roll depending on which one stays. If either of those get picked. So we'll do Lebanon War now. We'll do War of Ideas. Let's see what I need in Gulf States. And we need 6. Whereas in Iraq, yeah, let's go with Iraq and see if we can get lucky there. It'd be good to put an aid marker as well. Although Pakistan I have a better chance because I already have an aid marker. So let's give that a shot. And at 5 or 6 I'll have success. I got 5. I finally got Pakistan. All this time I've been trying to get it and I finally got it. Okay, they did. They took the Kashmir card out of my hand. But let's see, the event got played. Nope, it didn't. Okay, so I have Let's Roll and Tora Bora left in my hand. I can play one of those two. We don't have any plots. We have the plot Caucasus, but I can't get rid of it without a 3 card. I have no reserves. I want to hold on to Tora Bora, so let's play Let's Roll. War of Ideas. We're going to want to do it in Pakistan. Both countries need 6. Both have 8 markers. Yeah, let's try it in Gulf States. Although, what else can we do? Let's do that. What was our prestige now? Yeah, let's go for Gulf States. War of Ideas, Gulf States. That was close. So close. And I'm going to hold my last card. Oh, wow. Did you just see what happened there? Oh, my goodness. I just lost my advantage. Oh, terror. Pakistan's government changed poor, which, then, as I mentioned, it's a swap of 2. So we had Germany and Italy that went soft, and that really tanked my world hard funding. So I think in this case, I might actually play my Tora Bora card instead of holding it with the hopes. Well, no, I'm not going to do that because even a +1 prestige doesn't help me very much. So let's hold that last card. Okay, so that low price spike card just came up. Do you see that? I got to draw another card. We add 1 resources for each country that is oil producing country. So right now, if you look at the track. Oh, okay, so there's still only 1 Islamist rule because of the regime change I did in Iraq. That removed all that. So we're not in danger of jihadist win at the moment, but we are in danger in the next couple of turns of a U.S. player loss if I can't find a way to get myself into 6 resources. I'm going to have to continue my press on getting Gulf States, Iraq, and Pakistan up to good, preferably Gulf States and Iraq. That would give me my 6 points to continue the game. The challenge I've got is my prestige is so low, so let's take a look and see if there's anything that'll help me in this prestige battle. Okay, UN Nation Building is a good card for me. I'll be able to roll for a rock using this without any negative modifiers. Okay, I can force all the cells to go to Afghanistan. Play that. Okay, that would be a useful one if they're down, if they're close to funding. Right now they're at 9, so it's not gonna. I think what I want to do, nothing that is need to play based on their potential events. So let's play UN Nation Building and do that event in Iraq. There's no aid marker there yet, so that will get one. Play event. Let's do it in Iraq and see if we can get lucky. Let's see what happens. War of Ideas roll was a 3. I needed a 5 or better, but I did get an 8 marker there. Played this one right now. I like the benefit that it gives. Might be able to convince Jordan to go good, which would give me a +1 modifier in Iraq, since it's only a level 1. Well, level 1. It's only 1 resource entry. But I'm gonna play it anyway. This is a good event. Okay, commit. Okay, there we go. Focusing on Afghanistan now. This would be a great card to play, but unfortunately the preconditions won't allow it because we have Islamist rule in Pakistan or Afghanistan. What cells left? This is usually a pretty good card, but when you're playing against the bot, you don't actually get to see their hand. And I'm going to go ahead and play it now, because it'll give me both. Well, I'll get the 2 ops out of it instead. That's what we'll do. War of Ideas. Let's see. Yeah, let's play it as the events. Select use for operations. Oh, War of Ideas. That's what we do. Here and here. one success there. That's good. That moves at one. Now I can play a card. Gives me additional capability in the turn. Let's do recruit, so we can do that. Ideas. States. Missed. One more card. No cells left, so it's good to do. More ideas, 12 states. So close. One more. All right, I got really lucky there. If you caught it, they were doing a major jihad in Pakistan. They moved to sell from Afghanistan, gave them the required number of 5, and they actually got 6 in there. And then they did a major jihad, but only one of the 3 rolls was a 3 or less. The other 2 were higher, so 2 cells were eliminated, went back to the track, and then 1 success. Whenever you do a major jihad and only have 1 success, the country automatically becomes ally, which it already was, and then it receives a besieged regime marker. And I also lost my +1 for aid that was there. So I'm in a pickle. He's going to keep funneling troops down here until Pakistan's captured. And then I'd lose the arsenal. This would allow 3 WMD to be played as plots. Don't want that to happen. Now that Pakistan's an ally, I can actually deploy troops there, which I will do. And what we'll do is we'll deploy 2 of them. That way, if I deploy just 2, I won't go into overstretch, so I can still draw 8 cards. And that allows me to do some disrupting as well, which will help my prestige. What card are we going to use? That's the challenge. Let's see this. Don't play that card at all. Deploy 2 troops to Pakistan. And now we'll do a disrupt operation, start taking them out. It's the highlighting other cells by themselves, not picking the ones that I want to in Pakistan. I'm not sure why that is, unless they're, oh, and maybe an event in play is blocking it. Look at that, foiled. There's a Fatah event. No disrupt operation is there unless regime change. So I'm not allowed to do disrupt in Pakistan. So I kind of walked into this trap. I can send troops there, which will make it harder for them to do jihad because they have to have 5 more cells than I have troops. But in this particular case, I cannot disrupt back until I can get rid of that. I'd have to do regime change to do it. That's unfortunate. Okay, so Mistake number 2. All right. Let's go for a War of Ideas, and instead, let's do it in Iraq. See if we can find some success there. And we did. Okay, they did move some troops from Afghanistan to Pakistan, and tried with jihad, and they failed in that particular case. Fortunately, I can't do anything about it. Can't disrupt there, so I'm going to continue working on Iraq and see if I can make them go good country. Let's do the Tora Bora card for that. I'd love to hold on to it, but they don't seem to be plotting in any way, so just go ahead and throw a War of Ideas. Do it in Iraq. There's a minus on modifier because we're trying to go good. Need a 5 or 6. Going short. And this is my last card, which I don't like at all, but I'm going to go ahead and hold it. Because they've got 2 more cards to play, so I'll have 1 more chance to decide what to do. Traveling to Europe. The big offensive in Pakistan, and I'm going to discard Al Jazeera. I just don't want that to happen. I'm in a world of hurt in Pakistan right here. Hopefully it doesn't go bad on me. Okay, turn in. Prestige is now 3. Working its way up, so I'm in an interesting situation there. Oh, here comes a jihad. And they had success. It's going to kill my prestige again because I have troops there. And there'll be 2 plots in Israel. Prestige is knocked down, funding is all the way up. One of the advantages of the jihadist player is he gets to play the first 2 cards. And so in this particular case, they set themselves up well at the end of the last turn by putting Pakistan into a situation where there are 5 or more cells than troops, allowing them to position for a major jihad, and then having 2 cards to launch that. The first one was successful. So when you're playing the game, that's a good thing for the jihadist player to set up the major jihad for your first 2 card plays, next card draw. Okay. See if I drew anything that'll be helping me in this challenging situation. Well, that's really, really useful. Do you see this? It's a regime change country, improve its governance 1 level. Got Iraq as regime change. I can improve it to good, which will end the regime change. That'll be very useful for me. That's very fortunate. He's got an election coming up. This is also an interesting one. It doesn't allows them so they can't improve for the rest of the turn. And I roll prestige, which if I roll a 5 or 6 goes up, good. It goes up higher. So I'm going to go ahead and do that one first. I want to see what happens. Let's do Gitmo first. Play as event. See if we get lucky. It goes down 3, but it can't go down. It's already the lowest it can be. So this is it's good to gamble on prestige when you're already in the 1 or 2 area because you're not going to lose any. And now the jihadist player can't recruit for the rest of the turn. Okay, and now let's go to mass turnout and make Iraq into a good country. Boom. Success. Look at that. We got 3 resources at good. We're tied. I just need to get 3 more so the game can continue. I did
some plots in Israel, which gave them money, which they really didn't need. Tried to travel to Germany, did not work. Plotting. Germany, one failed, one was successful. Okay, so those plots could change some of those countries to hard, to soft or hard, depending on how it plays out. And I can't forget that they picked up the Pakistani arsenal, so technically they have nuclear. They have 3 WMD in this grouping of 9 plots. If any of those get the United States in the world of hurt. Now the election is an interesting card. Let's take a look at this. And it allows us to roll U.S. posture. Then, if the GWOT penalty is 0, you gain +1 prestige. If not, -1 prestige. So I'm going to go ahead and do this now. I get it for operations, and then we do the event. So let's resolve the automatic event. And then we will do the... yeah, let's resolve the event first, because if I get positive... if my posture, so I'm confusing a little bit about this. It's rolling for posture, which is either hard or soft. So 1, 2, or 3, I'll become soft. 4, 5, or 6, I'll stay hard. If I stay hard, I get +1 prestige. It's not rolling prestige, which you've seen me demonstrate several times so far. So this is a 50-50. Either way, I'd want to know at the beginning of the turn what it does. I think what I'll do with it is see if I can get lucky in Gulf states first. So let's do War of Ideas with it first before we roll. Because that would be very nice to have that. And I just missed it. Okay, I stayed hard, that's good. And our posture, our prestige goes up 1. If the US had gone soft and the world stays hard level 2, then that would be a -2 on all future War of Idea results. We have not seen that yet. The posture of the U.S. has always been the same as the world. It's always been the same side. But if the world went soft on me right now and I didn't go soft as well, whatever that number box is, that's a minus value on my War of Idea rolls. And that's a real killer for trying to change countries over. Okay, we're now up to my second card draw. I'm going to keep working on Gulf states. I got a 1/3 chance. And if I get success there, I'll have 2 countries that are level 3. That will be good resource. That'll give me my 6 that I need to continue on. If I don't get that to happen this turn, you'll see there's only 14 cards left. The game would end for me. So I've got to make that happen and have it stick. And it's a 2-card play that I need. And knocking off 1 cell in 1 location is not going to make a big difference. I think I'll use Predator for it. War of Ideas. Pack in Gulf states. See, I got 2 +1s and 2 -1s. Continuing to plot in Germany. Not working. I'd to see them having some failed rolls, but we do have a situation now where the world has gone soft. That's going to kill my ability to be successful in War of Ideas. What happened is when those plots go off, they trigger additional posture change checks for the rest of Europe, and that's what we've seen happen here. So I'm going to have to spend some resources to switch some of that back, if I can. Let's do War of Ideas with this one. Let's do it. Spain. 5 or 6. Missed. Okay, let's just see what I really need Gulf states this turn, or it's all over. If I chose Gulf states, see, here's a problem mathematically. I can't do it at all. There's a -4 and 2 +1, so let's undo that. We're going to have to fix the map board somehow if I'm going to have success. What we'll do is we'll use that 2 card. Let's do War of Ideas over here in Thailand. 5 or 6, we'll switch that and get rid of that -2 modifier.
on the War of Ideas track. Not with a roll 1, it's not going to work. Alright, testing it later. Okay, a lot just happened. 2 more plots landed in Germany, 1 landed in the Gulf states. That's a killer right there. That's actually a really good play on their part, because if I change Gulf states to good, the plot could go off and change that. It's mathematically impossible to change it right now. Okay, we'll do this one for War of Ideas. Nothing's changed in Pakistan. I can't do it, so we'll have to find success somewhere else. Try Thailand. I have to get them to change first. And no luck. And last card and see what they do. Okay, the good thing is the Gulf states stayed successful. And all the jihads in Iraq failed. And the problem is I only have 1 card left and I can't change Gulf to good, unfortunately. So, and there's no way to change the card draw. 9 plus 7 is 16, so I was thinking if I could bump myself up to overstretch, then I draw 1 less card and maybe keep the game going, but that'd be a 16 draw. 9 plus 7 is 16, so there's 14 left in deck, so this is going to be guaranteed to move the second deck, which is going to end it for me. So let's not hold on to this. Get rid of that prestige hit now. Let's do War of Ideas. I know it's not going to work there, so let's go over to Philippines. Okay. Missed.
We can probably start winding it down a little bit.
I think I just lost.
Perfect timing.
Yeah. Okay, so we are in a unique situation. The game actually continued on. I'm surprised at that. I was thinking it would end because I don't have 6 resources at good. But it continued on, and we are in the second deck of cards. So, but we've demonstrated all the operations for the most part, everything except for U.S. withdrawal. That's an operation of the U.S. players soft. They can withdraw from a regime change operation. So it's actually a closer game than probably I was bemoaning my fate too much in this. But Gulf States is very close to going good. We do have issues on the prestige track. This is terrible. It's -1. The U.S. player is hard. In this case, I probably want to do a reassessment. I can play 2-3 cards and reassess me to become soft. It's an automatic event. Don't have to roll any dice. So I might take a look at my card and see if I can do that. We've done 1 full deck of cards, though. You've seen everything for the most part in the deck. We just started another reshuffle on our second deck now. I had set it originally for 3 decks, so you can see how this game can play out for a long time. I must admit, the bot did a great job in this game. I had a terrible string of luck in trying to switch Pakistan over to a good country, put a lot of energy into that. Normally one of those would have popped sooner than that. It didn't happen. Sometimes the dice roll that way. It's okay. The purpose of these challenges in this game, though, is to have you think outside the box and consider alternatives. There's lots of ways in a game like this, which is asymmetric, to find solutions to either continue it longer, to give you more time to find success, or to find success in a different way. So enjoy the game. Hope you do. I've enjoyed it so many times. Lots of puzzles in it. Enjoy it. Trevor Bender signing off.